Thanks for staying up later. James Garner is back. He was here earlier in the summer. We talked about Maverick and the Rockford Files and his television career. On to the movies now. You made a film in the, I guess, mid-'60s called The Americanization of Emily with Julie Andrews.
Right.
That, in its own little way, was one of the first anti-war movies, at least of the Vietnam era.
Well, it was more than a little way. There was some comments on it about, and before we even made it, about a couple of things, about nudity, one, and about the anti-war position. Patty Chayefsky wrote a brilliant script, and in it he said we perpetuate war by, we wear our widows' weeds like nuns and perpetuate war by exalting its sacrifices. We name boulevards after our generals and or ministers, and build statues for our generals, and that attitude went through the whole movie. But you tell widows that they widows weeds like nuns. That's really a pretty hard statement. But there was flack about it. I understand in that picture, but it was a brilliant picture, and it had a great point of view, and it was right at the start, not the start, but in the Vietnamese conflict, and that was pretty strong stuff. But I love that film. It's my favorite.
You played the part. Of all the stuff you've done, it's your favorite?
Yeah.
Because it was such a good film, or because the point of view is close to your own, or both?
Both. Both. It was just, I love the statement it made. First, I love the entertainment it was, because that's what I do. But then I love the statement it made. Pictures in the ones that I think are entertaining, and then content comes second, but I like it when you can get both.
Yeah. The film was done in black and white. There's a tremendous scene in the rain where you're trying to turn Julie Andrews around and get to her and get her to see herself more clearly.
Yeah. That was done about 3 nights in January at the Santa Monica airport. And we were making our own rain, and it was cold. Poor Julie, to keep her warm was really tough. To keep any of us warm. But it was a tough scene, but a wonderful scene.
A tremendous movie that people still remember is The Great Escape. During the filming, if I've got this right, of The Great Escape in Germany, apparently there was some unrest in the streets, and have I got the story right?
You're about to.
Yeah. and you're like, you happen upon the scene, and the cops are giving these students kind of a hard time.
Well, what happened was they had it's Oktoberfest, and people go crazy. They blame it on the Föhn winds, which are winds that turn around and come off the Alps and whatever. And people have gotten off with murder during that time of year, literally.
Claiming that they were affected by this?
Affected by the wind. Anyway, there was a student, the police just attacked the students. I was there when it happened. The police just attacked the students in the streets for no reason whatsoever. And they just started pushing, back and back, and it got to be a big riot. And they had already, one of them grabbed my passport and threw it in the street, and really got me a little hot. So as I'm going down a side street, one of the cops ran down and grabbed a young student and had him in a chokehold and was taking him back and going to arrest him, and I just went up and popped the cop and just kept walking. And
nothing ever happened to you?
And he came after me. Well, yeah, he came after me. And he got kind of deep in the crowd, and I'm talking to him in English, and he only spoke German, and now I'm talking to him, and I assumed a judo pose, and he's got this nightstick, and I'm telling him, come on, and everybody's starting to laugh because I'm talking to him, and he doesn't know what I'm talking to, and he's worried about them laughing and seeing me in this pose, and finally he backed off and left. And then the police came to the studio a day or so later and wanted to arrest me, and they were going to deport me, but they talked them out of it.
One of my favorite movies of yours, and why I remember this, I don't know. I saw it the day after the Super Bowl. I had broadcast the Super Bowl in January of 1986 when the Bears crushed the Patriots, and I was in New Orleans and hanging around before flying home, and I saw Murphy's Romance.
Oh, Murphy's Romance? Yeah.
And that was just such a well-written film, and Martin Ritt, I guess, was the director, and Sally Field, and you had a tremendous chemistry on camera.
Well, I'm very fortunate to do that movie. Marty wanted me, and Sally wanted me. Studio did not, but it was written by Harriet and Irving Ravitch, and Marty Ritt and the Ravitches had done, and Sally had done numerous pictures together, and I was very fortunate to be in that film, and I really enjoyed it. It was a sweet picture.
They didn't want you at first, huh?
The studio didn't. No, they wanted. I heard Marlon Brando, and I don't think Marlon is quite right for it.
You got an Oscar nomination. I guess William Hurt won that year for Kiss of the Spider Woman, and I think Harrison Ford also got nominated, and some big names were in there. And I guess in typically self-deprecating fashion, I read somewhere where you said, yeah, I didn't have to do that much. I can't figure out why they nominated me.
Well, I just, usually they nominate people who have parts where you rip up the scenery and carry on, and and this was a very sweet picture and very nice, and I understood it so well I didn't feel I had to work that hard to do it, so I was very surprised I got nominated, really. And of course, nobody's ever given me much credit as being that kind of an actor. Really.
Does that bother you at all?
Nah. No, it doesn't bother me. I do it for a living. I don't do it for awards.
Jesus and you'll be saved. Pray to Satan and you're a slave. All the gypsy Spain women with a history, come backstage and save me. Lucy packed it up and hitched the rail up to Canada with the night mail. Breezing up north like she don't know how.
Went to Vietnam in 1967,
yeah,
somewhere around there, but without fanfare. You didn't go as a performer or a part of a tour or anything like that?
Under the auspices of the USO, yes, but I went by myself, and since I'm not an entertainer, I don't make speeches and I don't tell jokes and all that, I just went to hospitals and visited a lot of guys in the line, and went all over Vietnam just by myself, having lunch with them or seeing them in the field or whatever, and just, shaking hands, signing autographs, and I did that for 3 weeks, yeah.
Your perspective was interesting because at that time, I don't mean all, but most of the well-known people who visited the troops could generally be said to have supported the war, and those who did not support the war didn't show much support for the troops. But having been a veteran yourself, you had no problem with what some people viewed as a contradiction.
Yeah, well...
You were against the war, but you knew what these guys were going through.
Yeah, I was totally against the war, but I wasn't against the troops. And troops have no say-so in where they go and what they do. They're under orders. And I don't know anybody that would want to be over there, unless they were regular Army looking for promotions. I can't imagine, there's not one draftee that wanted to go to Vietnam. So I was there just to support them, because I know how tough it is. In the Korean War, we were all draftees and whatever, and we went over there, and nobody was particularly happy about, sending us over there. There wasn't any interest in being there, and we were kind of left to ourselves. We didn't have a reason to be there, and we had to find our own reason why we were in Korea defending this country. And so I had to develop my own reasons to be there, and just so you could have a peace of mind. Otherwise, you go a little crazy. And those guys in Vietnam, now, they're over there. People back home were screaming they shouldn't be there and this, that, and the other, and putting them down and everything. Well, they're right in the middle of it, but they're getting killed in the meantime. And I felt, I felt for them, so I just went over and shook their hand and patted them on the back. And
did you have some negative feelings toward other celebrities, for lack of a better term, that might have been outspoken during that time?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I thought Jane, she was right, shouldn't have been there, but I thought she went at it the wrong way. But Jane's very headstrong. She can do whatever she wants to do, but, she probably thought I did it wrong. She's right. Thought I should have been there with her, but I just, there would have been a better way to do it.
Weren't you fairly close to her dad, to Henry Fonda?
Henry and I were very close friends, yes. As a matter of fact, went to dinner with Shirley Fonda last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you look to him, since he was the older man with the established reputation, did you look to him as something of a mentor?
Yes, yes. I learned a lot from Henry. When I Henry, the court-martial was the first thing I ever did in this business, was a play. I really watched Henry a lot, and we became friends during that time, and I learned a lot from him about attitude and professionalism and that sort of thing. And what a wonderful actor, and I loved Henry. He's a nice man.
Some people out there might be surprised to learn about the extent of your political feelings and sometimes your involvement. I mentioned the Vietnam thing, and you were involved in the organization of Martin Luther King's March on Washington in 1963, right?
Oh, I was involved in it, yes. There was a group of us in Hollywood who, Marlon Brando for one, who, we were kind of designated to get a group of people to go back to the March in Washington, and I was fortunate to be there at that time, yes.
Was he grateful for that sort of support, or was he, which would also be understandable, somewhat skeptical?
No. He was very grateful for it. I remember I told him one night at a party, he had just flown out. He had been, flying all over and making speeches here and there. And I told him, I said, Mr. King, you do not have to, you don't have to fly out here overnight and do this and go back early in the morning. You just tell us, you need the money and we'll find it somehow, But he had to come to this dinner at somebody's house and all that to get a lot of money. I said, you just tell us, we'll get the money somehow. And, but he did appreciate it.
Honey, you win. How about a Winston?
Well, everybody's smoking Winston.
This filter cigarette really tastes like a cigarette.
Here's the distinction. You were the first or one of the first to say, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
Yes. The play came Mutiny court-martial here in New York, and I got a commercial thing for Winston, and I said, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. And then the next year, they came out with Winston tastes good as the like cut out and as put over. And I must have made the grammatical error, being a dumb Oklahoma boy.
So actually, the grammarians in the audience were more offended at that point than members of the Heart and Lung Association.
Yes.
Another classic commercial you did that people still remember, those Polaroid things with Mariette Hartley, they were almost like little TV shows. People watched them as much to be entertained or to watch the chemistry between you as to find out about the product.
Well, I will make commercials entertaining. People would listen to them. And Mariette came on and was doing a Polaroid commercial. And it got where we started playing back and forth the words. And they saw this, and we just, you know, it just made a whole series, you know, and they were wonderful little vignettes. It's a new system.
Why waste a shot in this light?
We turned bad light into good pictures. Didn't waste that shot. You've never been so sure of an instant picture. Wasting film in bad light is. Besides, you never buy flash or extra batteries.
How'd they get that sun in there?
They did it at night.
What's the outline on this new series you're going to do for NBC called Man of the People?
Well, quickly, my ex-wife, who was a city councilwoman, and who was an environmentalist and pretty much of a do-gooder, dies. And when I show up at the funeral, being brash and I'm a small-time grifter and kind of loudmouth and whatever, the mayor and their group who run the city decide they need someone to fill the councilwoman's seat. So they decide to put me in, because they figure I won't stick around and they can put their own person in at the end when I don't make it. Only it doesn't work out that way. I end up doing good things in spite of myself. And that's pretty much the storyline.
You said once that what you do really is humor,
Yes.
not comedy. What's the distinction for you?
Comedy is flapping your wings and, you know, and really, you know,
Yeah.
humor is something you smile at. You know, comedy is something you may laugh at, but humor is you smile at it.
This might be a hard one to sum up, but in general, what is people's reaction to you? When people see you on the street, what kind of reaction do you get? And can you make a distinction between that and what maybe other people who've been on TV a lot or different types of stars get?
I've had different reactions over my career. I remember years ago I was in England and I'd been doing television. They knew me from Maverick. And I was talking to a psychiatrist, and I said, you know, people come up to me and they pound me on the back. How are you, Jim? Come over here. I want you to meet Maud, my wife. You know, you can. And I remember my mailman said, "You gonna be home on Sunday? I want to bring the wife and the kids over to meet you." You know, said, "Yeah, I really want to do that." Then when I went over there, then I'd done some motion pictures. Now people. They recognized me, but they backed off more. And I was talking to them. The difference probably is that on television, you're this big. In their home, in their living room,
Right.
Much more informal. In movies, a close-up is 21.5. And they've paid money to go in there and see it. There is a different reaction. They're in awe of this huge thing, but they're in their home, you're one of the family, you know, on television. So there's a whole different attitude, and of course I've had it both. But people are always, you know, almost always very friendly to me and outgoing, and I try to reciprocate. I know a lot of guys that don't sign autographs, and they go around with their entourages and whatever, and I know I'm probably more recognizable than most people. And if people didn't go in a group, in their entourage, they could go anywhere without any trouble. But as long as they bring 6 or 7 people along, carry this, clear the way here, you know, all they do is create a scene, and that's so they'll look at them.
Yeah.
Not to keep people away, it's so they'll notice them. And I find I can go anywhere with no problem, and everybody recognizes me, because I've been there a long time.
James Garner and Man of the People coming up Monday nights on NBC. Thanks a lot. We enjoyed it.
Hey, thank you.
Okay.
I really did.
Time to hit the road. See you later.